What is the first step to standing up for myself? Tori, thank you so much for asking this question. It brings a lot of ideas to my mind, particularly around assertiveness training. And assertiveness training, we have to do some personal work before we do that training. For example, identifying our values and some of our trauma history. When we walk into a situation that may be even just tinged with some confrontation or even disagreement, that can bring up a lot of emotions that just make us really want to step back, let it go, push something under the rug. And in the moment, it can really feel worth it. It can feel like, you know what? I'm just going to let this go. This bothers me. This makes me upset. I feel trampled on, but I'm just going to keep the peace for now. The issue with that is we keep the peace once and then we keep it again. And then all of a sudden years have gone by and we look at ourselves in the mirror and we think, who am I? What do I stand for? What is important enough for me to stand up for myself? So here's what I'm going to introduce to you. I want to introduce you to one small part of assertiveness training. And it's important to differentiate between three different concepts that are commonly discussed in assertiveness training. One is passivity, and then we have assertiveness, and then we have aggression. So when we think of passivity, so picture yourself either at a family gathering or at a work meeting. Consider an environment where you might feel trampled on or you might feel slighted, and just kind of put yourself there. And I want you to really consider and reflect on at time. If you're thinking 0 to 10, 0 being I'm not affected, 10 being it was the worst trauma of my life. Pick something that's about a 2 or a 3. And I want you to just remember that time, consider what was said to you, and remember how you responded. So sometimes when we're more in the passive side of this continuum, we might feel a sense of shame or a sense of guilt. We might say to ourselves, you know what? It's Thanksgiving dinner. Suck it up. I only have 4 more hours here. Or we might say to ourselves, well, I just got cut off in a board meeting. The project is almost over. It doesn't really matter. These are all examples of more of a passive approach to conflict. We generally have weak boundaries. Oftentimes we can consider ourselves doormats, or we can think that people are just going to sort of stomp all over us. It's a self-concept that even sometimes we might martyr ourselves about. Oh yeah, I always let people treat me however they want. I'm the one who keeps the peace in the family. So just, think back to times when you've been in some conflict. Does that resonate for you? Are you more of a passive conflict avoider? And then we go on the whole other side of the continuum and we have the aggressive approach to conflict. So these are individuals, and it might be yourself, I don't know, where you feel slighted or you feel like someone has cut you off or degraded you and you're just going to explode. You might feel, you might have a sense of arrogance. You might be overbearing or hostile. You want dominance and you want power. And that is the way you are going to approach this conflict. You're going to just be aggressive, which is polar opposite to the more avoidant, passive way of handling conflict. Now, the beauty of assertiveness is that it's somewhere in between. So we're not using our dominance to overpower, to override, to steamroll, and we're not just being a doormat for anyone and anyone to roll over us and, do whatever they want. We're holding both in an assertive paradigm. So we are expressing, this is how I feel when you say X or when you cut me off, this is the impact on my presentation, and then the information can't get out to the audience that we want to share this message with. Same thing with family members. When you triangulate me between my siblings, it makes me feel like these relationships don't matter to you. And so what I would request is that the next time you want me to pass a message to my sister, that you please consider doing that yourself, because I'm not going to pass messages between us anymore. Will this assertiveness approach, so some qualities of assertiveness are sending clear messages, using I statements. I love this one, the broken record technique. Have people heard of that? It's really so, and it's not said in an obnoxious, passive aggressive way. It's essentially just repeating the same message over and over. And it might be repeating it in different ways, or using different words, but it's essentially sending the same message to the person. The message, might say, I don't feel comfortable driving with you when you're drinking, so I'm going to get an Uber. Oh, no, that's totally fine. I haven't been drinking that much. Just get in the car. It's not going to really matter. No, that's okay. I've already called an Uber. I'm just going to go do my thing. Thanks so much for hanging out. And you're literally just beating that same drum over and over on something that you feel comfortable with. You're not trying to change the other person's behavior. Well, in that case, with the driving under the influence, there might be some things you might need to do to keep that person safe, but let's put that aside for now. You're not attempting to change the other person's behavior. You're not attempting to manipulate them to do something different. You're not getting angry and aggressive. You are just standing firm in who you are and what your values are and how you want to be. One way, Tori, that you could possibly do this is to share with your boss in a meeting that you might have one-to-one, in a meeting that you might schedule as a form of personal development, that you're working on being more assertive and that you would like your boss to support you in that. And you could identify some ways that your boss could do that.